I'm gonna start selling feed pigs so I can fund a dirt bike. So we'll see.
How's the feet business going?
It's going good.
Anyway, welcome back
always.
to the Change Driven Podcast. We're back at it again after a long few weeks of lots of updates, lots of races. Kieran went to SUPERCROSS. Tell us how that was, buddy.
Did SUPERCROSS was lit. Although it wasn't the littest SUPERCROSS I've ever been to. I don't know why. It was fun though. This year, for some reason, the pits were kind of lacking. There just wasn't much there. They had the BMX guys from Monster there doing their shit. But aside from that, I mean, there was like some cool trucks and some bikes around, but there wasn't all that much to do there. But we got really freaking good seats. Second row, which was killer.
On the
got
side
some good
of
action.
the double lane or on the other side of the stadium? Because there was one side that had the double lane, and then the other side had a whoop section.
It was the other side. It was the whoop section.
Okay.
It was
So Jason Anderson
it was
crashed like right in front of you, or where you would have been sitting.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a lot of action. Definitely excited. We got to see Kitchen do some awesome fucking racing, and I got a lot of pretty good video. Which there's some clips up on our YouTube channel and some on TikTok and Instagram if you guys haven't seen them of him. They were pretty sick. Yeah, we were pretty close. So I got some good videos of some riders, and then we got a video of Webb and Anderson going at it. That was pretty good. It went pretty. We got some good views on our TikTok of that. That was cool. But yeah, it was fun. There's a lot of action-packed night, and then we decided to take off a little bit early in the 450 main just to beat traffic. So we went up top, up by the finish line to like watch, and fucking Anderson was in the whoops and he fucking bit it. I got so fucking pissed. I just walked. I just left. Even though there's like 5 minutes left in the main. I was like, I'm not doing this. So, but overall, it was good. Yeah, not bad.
It's pretty cool because like literally the weekend before I was at Seattle SUPERCROSS, and that was a really good time. We got there at like noon and spent like 5 hours in the pits just walking around, hanging out with everybody. I got to see the fly racing show with Steve Mathis and JT, Jason Thomas, and another older guy that was a retired guy, and then Kyle Chisholm came out and listened to that with them and was talking and stuff. Got some cool videos, pictures. I want to post a Desert 100 video, and I might add some of the SUPERCROSS stuff into the Desert 100 video for you guys. So check that out on our YouTube channel coming up. But it was a good time. It was super sweet to see Eli take the dub. He deserved it. They were battling hard. It was a really, really fun time. Good race to watch. Exactly like you said, though, it didn't seem as like intense, as previous SUPERCROSSes.
Right.
Eli led a lot. Sexton went down like almost right away, like usual, except today we watched Atlanta SUPERCROSS and Sexton actually won it. He led from the beginning all the way to the end, and he had a really solid ride. But did you see Sexton's crash at Seattle?
I don't recall it.
It was like, how in the world does that even happen? It was like going down a straightaway and went over the bars into the single coming up over to the double right after the finish line. But it was like, how in the world does that even happen? I don't know. It was so dumb, but I'm happy for him. He got a nice win this weekend at Atlanta. It was a gnarly track. The whoops were freaking insane, super deep. Even Eli was struggling in them, which is crazy because he doesn't usually struggle in whoops, which is pretty crazy. And Sexton was doubling them during the race, so it was, they were gnarly when the leader is doubling the whoops. But it was a cool event. Got to see a lot of guys in the pits. Got to see a lot of 250 guys, especially. Like in years past, it seemed like you see so much more 450 guys in the pits, but I really didn't see any this year. Like I saw Jason,
Yeah.
I saw Barsha, but like in years past, you would see like 450 guys everywhere. They were all over the place. Saw Mookie, saw Justin Hill, Josh Hill, saw Anderson, Barsha, Tomac, Webb, and I saw all the guys. It was crazy. But this year didn't seem that lively in the pits for some reason. And I was there for a long time. I even watched 250 qualifying and a little bit of 450 qualifying, and went to the pits when they came back from qualifying, and they're pretty much just like let their mechanic, like in years past, I've always seen the riders with their mechanic walking to the truck to hang out at the truck. But this year I saw Sexton's bike go by. I saw I saw Deegan's mechanic. I have a picture with Deegan's mechanic, oddly enough, even though it's not even East Coast round where Deegan is there.
East Coast.
Yeah, it was weird because it was a West Coast round, so Deegan wasn't even there, but Deegan's mechanic was. He was there with everybody else for some reason. So I got a picture with him, and but like I saw tons of mechanics, tons of bikes. Saw Vial's bike and mechanic. He rode by, and I saw one of the cool riders I saw was Vial, or yeah, no, I saw the gas dude. It was and I saw the KTM guy, the kid. Man, his name, I'm blanking his name, but cool Red Bull KTM kid. Voland. His name's Voland. But I saw the gas dude Mosman. He's cool. And but anyway, it was a cool time in the pits. Got to hang out with some friends that I met there. I got to bring a buddy because unfortunately Hannah couldn't go. So we had an extra ticket. So I got one of my work buddies to go that rides with me a lot. And we had a really good time. All the events were super cool. Did they have a halftime show for you guys?
They did not.
Really?
I think because it was a triple crown.
Oh,
so it was actually nice. It was shorter. It was very fast paced. It was just one race right after another.
Yeah.
Like there was no LCQs, nothing. So they had like all the regular events of a Triple Crown, but then they also had a Futures race too.
Mm-hmm.
In between the main.
Yeah, they didn't have a Futures race in Seattle, so that probably was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Man, those kids so good, but you could tell that there's a huge difference between pros and the kids coming up. It's pretty insane, the difference. Because there's guys out there that you have no idea who they are in the 450 and 250 mains, and they're out there in the main event. They qualify. They're out there racing it and doing all the jumps, doing all the whoops and everything. And then you send out those kids that are like the best in the world trying to get into Supercross, and they're struggling hard. And you're like, holy cow. I mean, all these no-names are, in their state or wherever they're from, are the best around. Like, there's nobody that can beat them wherever they go. They go to a local race, they'll whoop ass. But out here in Supercross, they can't keep up because those guys are just on another level. Super cool to see that. But the halftime show for us in Seattle was Axel Hodges and Twitch. And those guys, they did a really cool freestyle show for us. So.
Yeah, that was cool. They did that pre the first moto.
Oh.
They were out there doing some flips and shit.
That's cool.
It wasn't very long though. But
I had some news about the Jim Connor situation we had in the last podcast. The guy I helped do CPR on. I think in the last podcast, did I say that he had passed away? I can't remember.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so I had found out at that time. Oh, I didn't?
No.
Okay, well, his name was Jim Connor. His brother reached out to me just a few days ago, actually, for the first time. It's been almost a month since it happened. And I think when he called me, I was in the middle of it was literally my birthday. It was the day of my birthday. I was at a comedy club in Tacoma at a show, and he called me, and I sat there for a minute, and I was like, man, should I leave? Like, I really, really want to answer this call. But, you know, I was in a show with my wife and our other friends, and it was my cousin-in-law's birthday as well. We share the same birthday. And so I just hung out. There wasn't really a way to get out of there. It was so packed and everything, and we were listening. I didn't really want to miss the show. I knew it was going to be a long phone call, and it was late, so I was like, I'll let it go for now. I know he'll leave me a message. He did, and you know, I'll get back to him tomorrow, where it's a good time to talk about it. And I couldn't like focus on, you know, what I was ever going to say or anything with being there, and you know. But anyway, I listened to his voicemail after the show, and he seemed very, you know, very respectful. He was giving me the time to cope and to want to talk about it. He knew how rough the situation was, and I'm sure he heard about it from the Norks owner guys, that because they gave him my information, and I'm sure they heard that it was a pretty, you know, emotional, intense situation. And so that he was saying that, you know, just take the time you need. If you want to call me back, I'd love to talk to you. If you're not, I totally understand, you know, all that stuff. So the next day, I had gone all day thinking about it. I was just super busy all day. I didn't really have the time to just sit and, you know, talk to him and focus on what was going on. So I did eventually at nighttime. We had just finished dinner with my family. And so I walked outside and called him back. And super cool guy, very nice, respectful. I can't imagine what him and his family are going through. At this point, it was Easter Sunday when I called him that night, so I probably wasn't thinking very far ahead in my plan. I was like, Easter Sunday, they're probably eating dinner. He's probably all around family and stuff. I didn't even think about it at that time, but just called him back. He was talking to me. There's people around him too, and they were saying that, you know, according to the autopsy, it was he had a heart attack, and he had pretty much passed away on the course. You know, when I was with him, and we were giving him CPR, trying to keep his brain going, and everything we could to keep him going. And when the ambulance got there, they were hopeful, because I have a buddy that I ride with a lot, that I race with a lot, and that I've grown up with a long time. And he was a firefighter, forest firefighter, and was a part of a med team, I think. But he was a part of a lot of those calls where the ambulance would be there and be taking people. And he said that if the ambulance took him, they were very hopeful of his survival, and that they wouldn't have really rushed or taken him on the type of support that he needed to keep his brain alive, to keep his heart pumping, if they weren't hopeful about it. So that was really heartwarming to me, because we tried our best to keep him somewhat halfway alive, to maybe keep his chances up for survival. But they said he pretty much passed away on the track, that they have some family issues with heart issues, that his mom passed away, and that he actually, when they did the autopsy on him, they had mentioned that he had a previous heart attack that he had never even known about. That
Really?
yeah, like he once had a heart attack and he didn't even know he had a heart attack. Like, that was that bad. And they said that he had 4 main arteries that were 40% clogged and one that was 90% clogged. And so
Wow.
it just goes to show that really keep your health in check. And even if you're a healthy guy like he was and did major races, he did like crazy races over in France. He did the 6 days over in France a bunch of times, which is a huge dirt bike event over in France. And he did a lot of outdoor races like what we were doing there at the Norks race. And then he did other types of races. I think, I'm not sure exactly what he's done, but I'm sure he did pretty much everything we do, plus a lot of the big races, maybe down in California, Mexico, like Baja stuff. And, you know, he probably felt healthy, probably felt like a normal person, but, you know, you never know how those situations come about. So if you have any family members that have had heart issues, that it's pretty much hereditary almost every time. So if you do, then I'd definitely get it checked out. But to continue the story, the guy was very, very thankful of me. I almost felt really guilty sitting there, and like, you know, he passed away. It was like I didn't really do anything, and he was being so thankful and like telling me how great of a person I was for even stopping and helping out. And I was like, man, but I like didn't do anything. It's like, it's hard for me to comprehend almost, because I've never had, you know, that happen. And, you know, no one really thinks it's ever going to happen to them. And, but, he ended up he's like one of like the main guys that started the Team Tortoise events with the two twins, Tate and, Tom, I can't remember, but, him, Jim, and Tom, and Tate, and the other guy started these things. And so he ended up like being super nice, but at the end he was telling me that like he ended up being a rep and a dealer for like a bunch of gear and stuff, like gear brands like Answer and Bell and like Fox, and like I think it was a bunch. So he like said those three, but he like sells bikes and he has like dealer and stuff. And he was like, whatever you want, you know, you can have whatever you want, just let me know. And I was like, man, I can't accept it. It was like, I felt so bad, and it was just a weird situation to be a part of. It would be awesome, because I know for myself, you know, I'm not super financially that like ready to just go racing all the time. Like I have to, you know, get cheap gear so I can be wearing gear all the time, because I ruin gear a lot being an outdoor racer. And he was saying like, you have all the gear you want, whatever. I can give you a couple of sets and whatnot. But, you know, it just felt so wrong to, you know, want to accept that. I've already been given the whole race season for free. And that wasn't really like even my choice whether I want, like I was telling them no, like I won't accept it. It was like, we've already got you down for the rest of the season. You ride for free. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if that's, you already put that in motion, then, you know, I'm not going to say no to that. But, you know, I felt it was hard. It was a hard call. It was a hard phone call. And I was like, you know, let me know if, you know, there's anything I can do to be there, help out. And I guess there's a memorial coming up that I'm going to go to with family and friends. Like they're going to have they're going to have a funeral here coming up with just family. And they're going to have a memorial coming up where I'm a part of. And then they'll do what they got to do from there. But, you know, it's a really sucky situation, but they were very nice, respectful. They were telling me like I'm a part of the family now, whether I like it or not. Like they were very thankful for the situation. So yeah, that's an update on everything that happened since the race and since the last podcast. So we'll just leave it at that. Was really appreciative for how nice and kind they were. I was almost scared that they were going to be like, you know, maybe upset or something that, you know, I wasn't fully able to bring it back almost. You know, it's just a worry you get like, you know, if I possibly, you know, would have started CPR without a medical approval, there could have been a situation where he had, you know, messed up something in his body, where if I started, you know, doing stuff to him, I would have messed it up even more, and then I could have got sued or whatever. But, you know, all that aside, you know, they were cool people. And I really appreciate them for being as cool as they are and creating things that we love to do. And I'm very sorry for their loss. It's unfortunate, but you know, life will move on and everybody will keep doing what they love in his name. So,
Yeah. Did you tell them about our podcast?
no, I didn't get a chance to. I was thinking about it, but you know, everything. I mean, I kind of guess I wasn't thinking about it. I was kind of just so in a moment because he was asking me like how it happened,
Right.
like what went down and everything. I didn't really think about mentioning our sticker idea where we can sell stickers at the next race to help fund them and whatnot. But um, I didn't really think about it, and I wasn't sure. You know, that was another worry where they were like, where I was like, maybe they're going to be all, you know, upset that I said something over a podcast, but they were also like, you know, thank you for the story. You're a cool person, and you know all that stuff. So they'll probably be okay with it. Just yeah, that was a pretty in-depth story in the last podcast. So I'm very sure, I'm positive that it would be pretty hard to listen to, especially if you knew the person and was a family member. So I can mention it to him if I see him, you know, at the memorial. Say, hey, you know, me and my best friend have a podcast, and we talked about it, and I hope that's okay with you guys. And if it's not, then we can take it down. You know, it's not a big deal. But you know, if you wanted to hear a more in depth, you know, version of it, where I'm not, you know, almost like I was kind of choking up and being like, I almost didn't want to say the wrong thing to where they were going to get, you know, a little bit too much of a visual because, you know, that's his brother. I mean, there was someone sitting next to him, which I was assuming was his son. It sounded like it. And so I was like, man, it was hard. It was very hard. So, when you were young, do you ever remember going to a place called Burnt Ridge?
Never.
Never. So
Never.
I did my first ever. No, that's wrong. When I was really little, I did a few races and we went and rode at Burnt Ridge a lot. And
Right.
it was like, it had to be freaking 2012, 2013, possibly. Can't remember the exact date. But they had closed down because, you know, tracks at that time, you know, weren't as good necessarily as they are now, or they weren't as technologically advanced with like funding and everything and having people there to keep up tracks like they are now. But anyway, they closed for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but they closed down, which is really sucky because I love that place. It was super cool. Really fun place to ride. We rode there all the time. It's like one of the closest tracks to us, and they had closed down, so the next closest was like Riverdale. But super cool place. But they had just announced like maybe a month ago now or 2 months ago that they are reopening. And I am so stoked that they are reopening. They're redesigning everything. They got practice schedules all set up already. And their first practice day is like the 26th of this month. And I'm going to be going. And then their second one is the 30th. And the 26th is the weekend of this next Norks race. So I'm going to be there in Goldendale doing that. So the 30th, the next weekend, which, no, I'm wrong. The 26th is, it's like the 24th or it's whatever. The second to last weekend of April is the first practice. And then the last weekend of April is their second. And so I'm going to go to their second, and I've got a bunch of buddies, group chats and all that, my brothers and all their friends and stuff. We're planning on maybe going and camping and testing it out. And I'm super excited. I really want to make a fun YouTube video of the opening weekend of Burnt Ridge, or second opening weekend of Burnt Ridge, and get a cool video down. And I'm super stoked. It's going to be really fun, I hope. And I hope that they got that track pretty much how they used to have it, because it was so cool back in the day. Even if they don't, it's going to be really cool to be going back there and experiencing it again. Yeah, I'm really stoked. It's going to be a really cool time. But We're gonna get some good footage. I'm excited about that. I have some memories of going there before. There's this one time I think it was my 65. It might have been my 50. I think it was my 65 though. We're camping, and there was like some race going on, and we were there. Like one of my dad's friends was there. I can't even remember who it was, but I was sitting on my bike and I was playing on it, and I was like twisting the throttle a bunch, like playing on it on the stand and twisting the throttle a bunch. And then it was like come practice time and whatnot, and I was like gearing up, and my dad was trying to start my bike and he could not start it. I flooded the crap out of that bike. It was so bad because I had twisted the throttle so many times in those old KTM 65s. It just did not want to. It took like 30 minutes to start, like draining fuel, like trying to kick it over. I like fouled a plug, I think. And so it took forever to start. And then he finally got it running and I could go ride. But that was one of like the core memories I have of that place. And then I used to like dream about the huge tabletop that they have there. They have this massive tabletop that led into a massive corner that went like really high up and then back down to like the finish line jump. And I always imagine like being so high in that corner that I like fall down out of the corner and like land in the center of it where it was like really far down. But in reality, I was just so little that I didn't even, it was like, now it'd be like not like a normal corner. But yeah, I'm excited to go back to that place and bring back a lot of memories. It was a super cool track back in the day. So
Is it over the mountains?
no, it's on this side. Morton's
Yeah, that's not
only
that
like
bad.
10 miles from it, maybe less. So that's really close.
Well, that'll be nice to have a close track.
Yeah. Yeah. Because every other track around here is like 2 hours plus, like 2:30 plus away from me. So
What about that? What
an
about
hour
that
is,
track that's in like Black Diamond, like Auburn, like out that way?
well, I'm sure it's private and I don't think there's no public track out there. But
Oh, I thought there was a public track out there.
I've never heard of a public track out there. If it is, then nobody ever goes there because I've
Oh,
never heard of it. I feel like I've
I
been to a
thought
lot of them
it
because
must
that's
have
where
been a
like Carson
private
Brown
track.
lives is out there
I thought that was
in
a
Ravensdale.
private track. Leighton Smale, doesn't his dad own one of those
Yeah.
tracks?
No,
Is that a private track?
his dad ran Pacific Raceways last year or 2 years ago.
Right, Pacific Raceways.
Yeah, he
How the fuck is
ran that.
That's up there,
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
what you're talking about? Is Pacific Raceways?
Yeah.
They
Isn't
have a
that right up there?
motocross track there. It's pretty small, but they like redid the whole thing since the last Friday night series. So the last summer, their last Friday night series, they closed it down, and it's been closed, and it will be closed until May, the end, like the middle of May,
Why they closed it down so long?
because they're redoing everything. So the new owner or the new people running it are the Duvals, Duval Racing.
Oh, yeah.
And their website, they have all the cool shit, but they've been around a long time. But the owner that started it, James Duval. I'm probably totally wrong. I can't remember his name. I met him at the racetrack, but he owns Duval, but he's running Pacific Raceways, and they're like they redid the whole thing. Like last year was their like test year of like get the lay of the land and get the Friday night series, like to know how it feels, how to do it. And then at the end, the last Friday night series, he did like a big announcement that like pretty much everything was changing. They were gonna redo all the lights because the Friday night series goes from like 6 to like 11:30 at night.
Right.
So there's lights that light up the whole track. They have the starting gate. They have everything. The watches tower. They said they're redoing the entire thing. They're putting all new lights in. They're doing a whole new track because there's a lot of like every weekend, every Friday they would change the track in little areas. So it'd be different every weekend. So they might be doing the same track because they're probably going to use like the whole, like last year they didn't really use a lot of sections. And so they're probably going to use the whole thing, make a big ass, badass dirt bike track. So they're redoing everything. They're going to remove the start. They're going to redo everything. So I'm super excited to go and see what they changed and show you guys. But they're not open until like the middle of May. And then they only do practices like Wednesday nights. They have practices. And then they have the race series on Friday nights. And they have no practices on the weekends scheduled yet. So it's a bummer because I definitely can't get to a practice night on Wednesday. I get home at like 6 o'clock and the practices are from like 3 to 7 or something like that. So not even worth it to me. But the Friday night series I was like barely getting to every week last year. It was like I would totally miss practice because I was getting home from work. Like I wouldn't even get home. I would set up all my stuff the night before, have it loaded in my truck, and I would meet my wife there to switch vehicles, or she would hang out with me sometimes, or she would have to go home or go do something else, and we'd switch vehicles, and I would get there at like 5:45 or 6 o'clock, like totally miss open practice before the races and have to go line up on the gate and do race 1 without any practice and without any warm up. That was like my every week thing, just so I could do it. And it was super fun. I had a really good time. But I'm excited for this next year and for what they do. I really hope they open up more practice days during the weekends because that's only a 45-minute drive for me, but they're never open. So, like Riverdale, they're like 2 hours and 2 hours and 40 minutes from here, and they're open every day of the week. You can come in on any day of the week and ride there. So that's really cool, but it's really, nobody can do it. Like the one time that for Supercross when Butter and Eli came out, Connor and Eli, the Butter films, they came out and went to Riverdale on like a Thursday when they got here. And when they got there, Carson Brown was there ripping on a YZ250 all by himself. He was the only one there. And he had the whole motor track to himself, just ripping. It was like super wet, kind of muddy, super slick. And he was just railing in their video if you haven't seen it. And they were out there riding around with him, just having fun. There was like some kids that show up. There's like maybe 6 people on the track, maybe. And that's like crazy because usually when you go there on a weekend, there's like 50 plus people there, wanting to ride on that track. So that was super cool. But like you can go during the week, you can see anybody there. You can see Carson Brown there, who's ever going to come out and ride that day. So you got to be pretty lucky to get out at the times that those guys get there. Because there's, that's 3 really famous people in the moto industry there, and nobody else was there. I was super jealous for those kids that just happened to be there and was like, holy shit. And Connor let this one little kid without a visor, without goggles, on this like little like TTR 150 or whatever he was riding. He was just so muddy. All you could see was his eyeballs, caked with mud. He was like, "Here, ride my 450," and this kid's ripping around his brand new CRF 450.
He was doing good on that.
Yeah, he was. So that was pretty funny. And then his dad all of a sudden broke out like a 85 Super Mini for the kid, and then he was railing it. You're like, what? What's going on? It was freaking hilarious. And then Eli's crash and stuff because those Cali boys have no idea how to ride in the mud in Washington. And they're all just like ripping it out of corners, like full throttle, and then their back end just slides out. Eat shit. It was awesome. It was pretty funny, entertaining to watch that video because those guys had a struggle riding in the Washington dirt. But it was pretty funny. You gotta fix up that KDX and come out, bro.
I don't know. Well, I'm gonna start selling feet pics so I can fund a dirt bike. So we'll see how it goes. Hit me up for some feet pics. I got some ugly ass feet. So
just for you.
Just for you. If you want to jerk off to them, go for it. As long as you give me $10, I'm cool with it.
Oh my
Goes to the
god.
dirt bike fund.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I heard you were getting into the feet game, dude.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna buy?
What am I gonna buy? There's no way I'm buying. That'd be pretty awesome though. Like sell some feet pics to fund motocross.
Start running VP in your bike so you can afford it.
Yeah. Dude, I can get the whole setup, bro. Got my chain driven on one side of the plastics and my feet picture profile on the other.
Well, you just went to this. I seen at Supercross they had the OnlyFans tent. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, you need a feet finder tent now.
Feetfinder.com tent, dude. I'm out there getting last place in the 250 LCQ with the Feet Finder 10. Oh,
Just
awesome.
Your number plate. It's 11 or not 11. Fuck, I'm stupid. 10. It's just 2 feet, 10 toes.
Oh man, dude, that'd be so funny. You like get toy dirt bikes and ride them with your feet in the videos. Oh shit! Yeah, let's do it, dude. We'll fund our whole race career. Feet pics. Sounds awesome, bro. I got a little story for you.
Let's hear it.
So my brother and a few of his friends went out riding behind our property out here. Allegedly. And they were allegedly riding along when they came up on a alleged Forest Service truck. And so they started taking off allegedly. And they allegedly ran out of gas. And in the gas 250, that's my brother's, I think.
Allegedly.
And they were trying to get it started and are figuring like, well, shit, it's out of gas. And then I guess allegedly the truck started coming up the road behind them. They caught up to him, and allegedly they hopped on the bike together and took off and left 2021 gas 250 allegedly by itself. And allegedly they went back about 30 minutes later, and allegedly it was gone. And now allegedly they're trying to figure out where it went, because allegedly you lose about $10,000 in that kind of situation. So they're allegedly fucked.
It's either you allegedly lost the $10,000 or allegedly you could be fined and charged with criminal trespassing and fleeing and all sorts of charges. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of a tough bullet to allegedly have to bite.
Yeah, a little bit allegedly.
If that so alleged story was true, it would be a rough one to handle. But it's an alleged story, so it's it's kind of played by ear,
Yeah,
but allegedly it happened.
Yeah, allegedly, but in the legends, it happened. Just
Yeah.
heard it in the whispers from the woods. But yeah, if that did happen, that would be a super shitty situation.
That would.
I wouldn't want to find myself in for sure. Guess what place I got at the Desert 100?
23rd.
Man, you have a lot more faith in me than I thought.
What did you get? I thought you did get 23rd.
No, I got 8. Oh, I got 23rd in the open class.
Yeah, in the open.
In the class. But overall.
Overall. I don't remember. I don't know.
Guess.
30. Something.
No.
40.
Oh, that's really good. My best ever is 52nd. And I did
52nd
this year.
Your brother did good this year.
Yeah, he did. Blew me.
What was it, 15th overall?
He got 19th overall.
Or 19th overall.
Out of 933 riders.
Jesus Christ.
It was 930 something.
Speaking of which, I was looking at the fucking data of these racers. The guy that got first place overall is fucking insane.
Jaden Donners? Yeah.
Did you see how many fucking laps he did in his fucking lap time?
Well, I saw that he did 4 laps, which is complete bullshit. And he did not. There's no way he did 4 laps.
Well, how would they count it?
I don't know. I think it was a mistake. I'm not sure. Because I saw that too. That it was like 4 laps, and he did it in only an hour more than everybody else did. When they
right, I was laps. I thought they either messed up or this guy is got ridiculous. A fucking rocket on the back of his fucking bike.
Yeah, no, Jaden Donners is really cool. He's he's Elijah's age, and he's actually friends with Elijah, and they rode together at Carson Brown's house the last time they went. And Jaden actually invited him over to ride at his house here soon. So we might go over there to ride at Jaden Donner's house, who won the Desert 100. Insane kid. He races all the AMA races. He races some of the Norks races, I think. I think he does some of them. But fast as shit, that kid. He's nuts. And, man, only wish you could be like him. But I got 82nd. I struggled pretty good.
Well, you got a flat, right?
No, that was last year. I got a flat last year and disqualified and DNF'd. But this year I had mooses, and I blame all of my shortcomings on my suspension. It felt like crap. I try to keep good care of it. Suspension's really expensive, but I really needed a service really bad. And by about 58 miles in, it felt like garbage. It felt like I was riding on 2x4s. And my forearms felt like they were getting shock loaded for the whole rest of the race. Like my forearms, just the bones themselves hurt so bad. Like I had arm pump in the beginning, but that went away pretty quick because I had ridden the whole day before. I rode 30 miles the day before. Felt pretty good. And the start of the race, I was good. I just eased into it kind of thing. So the arm pump wasn't terrible. I managed pretty well. But by the time I pitted and I went back out again, my forearms were so bad. The bones, they just felt like I was punching the ground. Is exactly what it felt like, just over and over and over again, just constantly punching the ground with both hands. Just imagine sitting there on your hands and knees and just punching the ground for 2 hours. And it was terrible. My forearms felt so bad. I developed blisters in my hands. That one was pretty big, but that one didn't pop during the race. That one developed. These two right here, they had developed within the first lap, and as I was coming in for the pit on the second lap, they bursted, and I was rubbing into them so bad that they started bleeding everywhere. And so I had a lot of blood, and I had a lot of the fluid in my glove and in my hands. So it was kind of hard to hold on. Plus, it stung so bad. I don't know why, but this hand is perfectly fine, other than this little one, which didn't hurt at all, and this one didn't really hurt at all. These both like fully developed after the race, but these two were they developed early in the race and had blown up before I even pitted, and it was just a constant like sting. Just it hurt so bad. But then I ended the race and was like looking through my glove, and my whole glove was red and like dried blood. The whole glove was full of dried blood, and I never had that happen before. It was so weird, and I don't know if it was. I think it was mostly because of my grips. My grips are pretty old, and they're like the Emig grips. If you ever have ridden with those, the Jeff Emig style. So they're really thin and they're really hard, and they have really good grip, but they're thin and hard. So in an outdoor race like that, it would have been really beneficial for me to have like the pillow tops.
Yeah, the pillows.
And which would have been a lot more comfortable, and what have always usually ridden with. But I've had these Emig ones for the last like year and a half, and man, they were terrible. I do not like I do not prefer those Emig grips for any outdoor racing. I guess I mean like long distance racing, like motocross is fine. But like the more long distance stuff, the more like if you're riding for an hour plus, I would not recommend those MA grips. They hurt after a while, and so even like with doing all the tune-ups and stuff on my bike beforehand, I was making sure it was pristine. I set my sag, made sure my pressure was good, made sure all my forks were bled, and that the oil was holding good. Make sure the seals were cleaned out and everything. And then after I ended the race, I re-bled my forks, and they hissed for like a minute straight. I have the auto bleeders where it's just a button.
Right.
You can take out the screw that's in the top of your forks and put in an auto bleeder, which is just a button that you press. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera a bunch. It's just a button that you press, and that lets out air instead of having to take out the screw and let out the air and put back in the screw. And both of them just hissed forever. And I was like, how did it build up that much extra air pressure, just over the last 4.5 hours? So I think that was like mainly the culprit of why they felt like 2x4s, why they were like so stiff feeling. And it really sucked. It was bad. Yeah.
It's an extended period of just the heat and friction, and
yeah, it was pretty
turning
warm.
the
It
gas.
got warm throughout the day. It was fun. I mean, I don't regret doing it or anything. It was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It felt so much more rough than usual. I felt like I was just bouncing on rocks, like bouncing over my bike like for 100 miles, pretty much. It was like very, very limited spots to actually take a break. And like there's one spot where there's a road for like 200 yards, and you're like dog tired. Get on this road, and you're just sitting there like coasting, like flicking out your wrist a little bit, and like you just don't want to get back off the road again, but you have to, obviously. And then all of a sudden it's just big like 3-foot sand whoops for the next like 10 miles, just brah. You're just like, it sucks. It's terrible. It's super, super like humbling, you could say, but it's like super rewarding is the word I'm looking for. It's really, really rewarding when you finish that race and you're like, man, I just did 100 miles on the roughest possible terrain that you could do 100 miles on. Maybe. I mean, it's a desert, so it's like, it's not like trees, it would. So it's not like Erzberg where if you did 100 miles out there, that would be, you'd die.
Right.
I know you would die. Everybody would die. Graham Jarvis would die doing 100 miles out there. But you know where we were, it was like, oh God, like everybody is like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's crazy. I had a coworker that went, and I never even saw him that weekend because I couldn't get a hold of him, but he raced and he saw what I got. I got 82nd. He was like, I can't believe he got that good of a position. He's so fucking fast. Like, that's insane. And I was like mad because I didn't get, better than I got before. And, it's all about preparation and fitness and stuff like that. I was destroyed afterwards, but Elijah did like amazing. He got 19th. He was up there with the big dogs. When we got there, the day that we got there, they have all kinds of pit row. They got all kinds of vendors and everything. Evo is there, and we use Evo for all of our suspension stuff. And so he redid his forks and his rear shock all that weekend. He got it all redone. So that was probably a huge bonus for him. I didn't really have the money to drop like $600 on a whole new suspension kit at that time. So, super, super good for him. I'm proud of him. He's fast. I was bummed because I was like keeping up with him last year before I got a flat. He got a better start than me somehow because I thought I got an amazing start. But he got a better start than I did. And there was this one checkpoint where I was like coming up on it, and I saw him getting checked and move on, and I was like, oh shit, he's right there. I got to go get him. And I got like on his back wheel when he turned around and noticed it was me and was like, nope, not going to happen. He was like hauling ass, trying to stay in front of me, and I was right there with him. And I think that urge of intensity from both of us caused us to go a little too fast, and it resulted in me having a flat tire, my rear flat tire. So we were hauling. We were going really good for about 15, 20 miles before I got a flat, and that was at like mile 35. I got a flat, and then I rode another 15, 20 miles. I think it was like 22 miles on a rear flat. I finished out the race on a rear flat. So I didn't finish the race. I finished the 50-mile lap on a rear flat. I had another 50 to go, but I don't have another rear wheel or anything to swap on. And by that time I got to the pits, I was in like 400th some place. And I was like, yeah, screw that. I'm not doing this. So it was a good time though. I had fun. But it's pretty insane. I'm excited for next year already. I definitely want to be more in shape and more, committed to it. My goal is top 50. My best ever is 53rd. So I'm gonna push myself to get there. So someday you got to come up and do it with us again. Hopefully you should next year.
I will.
But we used to do it together all the time.
I never even did the 100. I'd always fuck up something, or
yeah,
I was like couldn't do it every time.
Yeah,
but yeah, I have to do it.
It was always during the poker.
I'm doing it though.
One of our siblings would hurt themselves, and
then
you'd like break something or lose something on the Kitty X.
If I ever do it though, I got to do it on like that's KTM 300.
Yeah, my 350 is good and everything, but man, those 300s are badass. Like my 350 is really good for desert riding, and yeah, we're out in the desert, but it is so technical out there.
It pays to have a light bike with that long distance and that technicality to that race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. The 300 is so easy to jump around and dial in. Yeah, it's so hard with it. bigger, heavier bike, especially those huge rock hill climbs that they have during the race.
Yeah.
It's gnar. It's super gnar.
Wicked gnar.
Wicked gnar.
Well,
But
anyway, you got anything else to talk about today? I'm gonna wrap this up.
man, I'm pretty much wrapped up, dog.
All right,
Thank you everybody for hanging out and listening to our. How many episodes are we in?
I think it's our 17th.
17.
I could be completely fucking wrong. I don't know. I think it's our 17th.
Well, thank you for listening to our Change Room podcast. I'm Colton. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling with us. Thanks for listening to our stories and giving us your time. Really appreciate it. Hit us up on all types of social media, and take it from here.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for listening. Hope y'all are staying safe and healthy. But yeah, you can find us on every fucking platform at Chain Driven or Chain Driven Pod. TikTok's blowing up. Instagram, not so much. Go follow our YouTube channel. We starting to post a lot more videos on there, and like we do some shorts with some clips or whatever we take videos of. So we got some interesting stuff on there. And we also upload our podcast up on there. So share with your friends, share with your grandma, your dog, your fucking stepsister, whoever likes dirt bikes or wants to listen to two retards talk about whatever. Tell them to listen in. Anyways, my name's Karen, and this is my best friend Colton, and we will talk to y'all later. Have a good one.